Call roll.
Okay.
Good enough, or is that still too loud?
I don't hear it.
It's fine.
I mean, I hear it, but it's not distracting me.
Amanda, do you want to call everyone to order and everything?
Absolutely, I do. Once we get everything rolling. I don't know if there's anything official to say, but I'm just gonna. Oh, right. Smack it on there. Very loud. All right. So I'm going to officially call to order the July Inclusivity Committee meeting for this evening. Smack the table. I should have. Right. So I guess we can start going around the room for attendance. We'll start in the room over here, and then we'll do online.
Okay. Kate Stewart.
Lori Lehman.
Amanda Polly.
Chris Workman.
Rose Bricker. Jane Sherwood.
James Rodell, visitor.
All right.
Nora Smith.
Diane Crocker.
Jessica Andrade.
And Christopher McMorrin.
All right. So the first thing on our agenda is any urgent business that anyone has that isn't on the agenda. There's anything anyone wants to go over?
The urgent business, the email that we got?
Is that
Is that on the schedule?
Are you talking about the parade?
Parade. Mm-hmm.
I was planning for that to be under outreach at the end, but yeah.
Does our guest have urgent business or?
No, I did bring something that I thought might interest y'all if you didn't see in Albany. There's some work they've done that the article points out that inclusion is their main goal with this. So I thought I would pass around the copies that I made if anybody's interested. I know it's Albany and it's not here, or it's not even Corvallis, but it's good to know what neighbors are up to. I think that relates to your work. I would think.
Life skills training at LBCC.
Just to make sure that I heard correctly, did you say that the flyer had to do with skills training at LBCC involving inclusion?
At LBCC, right. It has to do with folks that are sort of disabled or need help and special education transition and so on and so forth. And the school district of Albany bought a building on the LBCC campus. And it's just talking about how it's going to be much more inclusive and coherent. And I figured, well, gosh, that's what you guys are into. So
It's a theme. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing.
Looks like the program is offered students ages 18 to 21 who've already graduated with a modified or extended diploma or a certificate of attendance. So it's extra support for students who have graduated high school on the LBCC campus, though. This would be cool for Philomath News to cover. Give it LBCC. I've got Philomath folks that go to that. Thanks for sharing.
I think Counselor Crocker has a question.
Go
I-
for it, Diane.
I was gonna point out that Philomath High School's been doing that for just a while. They have a transition program as well, right here in Philomath, for students that are in the life skills class that need an extra hand in working through life. And so they are welcome, and it's actually held at the high school though. It's not at LBCC though, so that would be more fun maybe. But it's a very good program that they have.
I didn't know.
And Diane, is that program for students who've already graduated?
Yes, 18 to 21, just like he explained. Yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Super cool.
I just took a picture of the newspaper article that he shared and sent it to that group that, that Christopher shared earlier,
Thank you.
the email.
Thank you.
And I work in the life skills room at Philomath High School, and I do work with some of the students that are 18 to 21 because they're in the room too. But they do things, you know, with the transition coordinator.
Good program.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have anything else that they would like to bring up before we move into the agenda? All right. So our first thing under business is updates and announcements and a Pride event recap.
Woo! I'm with Brad. What happened?
Maybe not report.
What was that?
Just give me a second, give me the report. Look it up on my phone. Philomath Pride happened on June 15th. I would estimate over the 4 hours, we probably had about 300 to 350 people. Typical Philomath weather. It was very windy, but people held down their pop-up tents and shared information with the community. I think I probably have already shared this, but we did have, in partnership with Benton County Health, the ability to give free mud oven pizza to all the attendees. So I don't remember the exact number, but it was somewhere in the 450s of the slices that we were able to give out. A bunch of community partners that supported us or showed up to share their information. We had 2 unicorns. Amanda was one of them. Another one in our parade. We had our Philomath's first ever Pride Parade at the event, going around half of City Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time. Excited for next year. One of the goals for the Philomath Pride Collective is that this isn't just a one-time in June event. And so we've given ourselves July to take a break and then gearing up in August to plan for ongoing smaller events in Philomath. So we're thinking like some arts and crafts night, potentially even drag show. Not really sure. So we're looking for community engagement and community involvement so we can plan, looking about every 3 months, having some sort of event or promotion of a activity hosted or in collaboration with the Philomath Pride Collective.
It was good. It was a really fun event. I saw a bunch of folks that I know from around town. There were folks coming in from Corvallis. I had a bunch of coworkers that I didn't even know were coming showed up. I witnessed a lot of like other folks who hadn't seen each other in a while kind of reconnecting. It was just a very, like for me as someone on the planning committee, the goal of that event is to build community and continue to like those connections that already exist to strengthen those, and that was very evident during the event. So it was nice to see that happening.
Yeah, we were out of town. We did send some things for fun.
Yeah,
And then but I am on a board with another person who has just moved here, and he went he and his partner, and he was very excited. He's tall, so he told some stories about how he did save a couple of of pence from going down. So yeah, so he was really glad. He felt like that was a really good, fun, inclusive event, and he was happy to attend. So well done. Good job.
Well done on the event.
Yeah.
Very much so. It was good to see a number of different age groups also.
Yes.
At the event.
Yes.
And feedback there. Also feedback that there was at least one local business person who said they drove past the high school and saw how many cars were there and went, wow, this is a big deal. We need to be involved next year. And so we do have that as a follow-up there. And then I brought some things in that we got from a company that's based out of San Francisco. It's like, can we stay in touch? Because we'd like to be involved more next year. So there's some additional pieces.
Diane, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, Rose, good job. You did the lion's share by far of this, and I'm impressed with your report afterwards and how you did everything. Good job. Kudos to you. And Amanda for helping.
And the entire collective.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who all the report went out to, but Rose did prepare a report that went into the city council's meeting packet. So that was looked at last night and made note of at the meeting as well. So yeah, really nice report. That was done up nicely. So thanks for providing that and keeping our electeds in the loop of what's going on as well. So nice job. And if you haven't read the report yet, again, you go to the city website and go through it. Is it in the packet too? Okay, cool. Great.
Anybody have anything they want to add about Pride? Oh, Jessica's got her hand up.
I was just going to say, Nora, I would know that we saw you there if you wanted to say anything about it. And also, I don't know if you can see the hands up for Counselor McLaurin and Crocker.
Yes, it was great. Yeah, I helped out for a little bit beforehand, a couple hours, and then my daughter came with her wife and their baby. They were a little bummed about how cold it was. But yeah, it was great. It was wonderful. I was really glad to be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was curious to hear your experience.
Right. No, it was great. Yeah. It was amazing how when I got there, not much was happening. I thought, gosh, is this going to happen? You know, when it was supposed to start, but then, all the partners came and set up, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, we were still setting up when we were supposed to be starting. So, last minute event planning.
Thanks for showing up. Help move that.
So house guest.
Yeah, it was great. Everybody seemed relaxed too, very relaxed.
And then I think Chris has his hand up.
I wanted to echo the thanks to Rose for the report. I think that's great. And I wish, we got more things like this from community events. I think it just helps us kind of understand, the full context and everything we need to keep in mind for the future. I'm also grateful that there was another tall person there in my absence to hold down the canopies. I felt like I was racked with guilt over that, so I'm glad that I had a substitute. And then I just also in general love this just for the fact that it's like a community event and it's bringing people together, and I think that's exactly what we need more of. So a huge thanks to everyone that was involved in putting this on for the third year. That's amazing, and I hope we can kind of inspire maybe more parts of the community to want to put on events and everything and bring people together. So that's my little soapbox for the day.
We actually had to go get a ladder because you weren't there.
We did. I had to run home a ladder.
We just had to leave the property to go find a ladder and a step stool. And
All right.
that
Tell me the date far in advance next year, and I will make sure nothing else is scheduled then.
Perfect. Got it.
And when Jane's not on graduation.
Yeah, it was graduation. Yeah, not that I'm tall.
All right. So if no one has anything else to add about the Pride event, we will move on to the inclusivity calendar updates, starting with the Heritage Celebration and awareness banners. Is that Diane? You got an update for us?
I have nothing for you. I've been out of the country for the last 3 weeks and just got back and I'm sick. So I have nothing. We will continue working. I was kind of feeling pressure prior to try to get this wrapped up and do it, and you guys told me not to do that, so I'm slowing it way down.
Following instructions.
Yes.
Hannah, hope you feel better.
Thank you.
And for the record, I think Nora and I also reached out to Zena about this. We hadn't heard back on that either, so I'll follow up again. But yes, I think we're in a fine spot. We don't need to be pushing forward at 100 miles an hour on this. So yeah. Was there any other discussion on that?
No. Is there one coming up that we have to think about? Or are we pending for?
Not that I'm aware of.
There was, I guess, if we want to go ahead to if you want to look at the Inclusivity Committee calendar included in the packet. Last year we had a Hispanic Latino Heritage Month banner, and I think there was some desire to maybe do a different one this year. So that's the only one that is a imminent concern. Not concern, an imminent placement. So I guess we can just decide, what we want to do about that. If we want to have a banner, if we want a new banner, where are people at, I guess, on that. That's the most upcoming one.
Question in terms of like what if we say for September, when do we have to have it?
I think the printer wants it a month prior.
Okay.
Or I believe, or Dan.
It's he can do it in a week turnaround, 2 weeks for sure. But I see there's an age friendly now on August. So is that one that we need to be looking at? Because I think August was left blank last year.
I think we weren't thinking of doing a banner for the age friendly. That was just the proclamation that we have
Okay.
in the packet.
That's
I mean, if someone wants to make a banner, I guess we could, but that wasn't something we had discussed
okay.
for now. Yeah.
Next banner is in October?
September.
It's
If
when
we,
they're talking about.
if we redesign it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Please.
We did get permission from the Chinook, Siletz Indians and the Grand Ronde tribe to use their logos for this. And we've been waiting for that for quite some time. So we just recently got it maybe a month ago. And so we will go forward for the Indigenous Peoples Day and try to incorporate those two logos into the banner.
Awesome. That's great, Diane.
Yeah.
Chaz got the permission for us. Yeah.
Where does the banner appear?
Throughout town on a few of the telephone poles.
Oh, really?
I think we make 4?
True.
2, sorry.
And the banner is a celebration of the cause, and does it give any further information as to where people can go to participate or anything like that?
No, it's decorative. It's
Honor Heritage Month.
Yeah.
It does include the website on the bottom of the banner, so there's some direction to look to the website to follow along. But it's really just an awareness banner and a decorative, as much decorative as awareness, I guess.
I mean, because you're driving, so it's unlikely really, unless something's really big, that it's gonna catch your eye.
QR code real quick.
While you're driving?
Now that the road is smooth, no one is
Right.
doing that. Everyone's just going.
I think Jessica's got a question. Comment.
Thanks. Yeah, that's awesome news, Councilor Crocker. Thank you. And then to clarify, the banner placements are in front of City Hall and in front of the fire department, I believe. Is that correct?
Wait a second.
Fire department?
Oh,
And then as for Latinx and Hispanic Heritage Month, if we're able to get a new design, that would be awesome. But if we don't get one in time, I honestly would rather not put up the one that we had from last year, just due to the sensitive nature of the people on them.
For context, last year there was someone included in the banner who has a history of colonization, being a conqueror, and of all the ugly things that come with being a conqueror and a colonizer. And so we felt last year that that wasn't appropriate to have that person on the banner.
I guess I wonder, Councilor Crocker, just since we haven't heard from Zena on that, do you think that's something that you and your graphic designer could just alter last year's banner and then, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but just so we have something for this year?
Take that one out and put another one in. Yep. And what we did was, I mean, he was put there because he was the first Latino to be in Oregon. And that was why, but he then grew on to have slaves, so that was a bad thing.
I do wonder, would it be possible to do it just without any recognizable faces in it? Just because I think we had talked about that at one point of just wanting to avoid having real people on the banners.
Yes.
Okay. Just sort of symbolism. I mean, unless if it's like, for like Martin Luther King Day, then I guess we could probably have a recognizable person on the banner, but
To clarify though, I don't think there really is anything to work with if you take the people off, if I remember correctly. So I don't know how much redoing of the wheel there is.
We just need to do a whole new banner. We're not going to try to fix the last one. Yeah.
but that's doable, you think? Okay. Perfect. I guess then this brings up our age-old conversation of timing. Because if we want that to go up in September, then our next Inclusivity Committee meeting would be on a date that I'm sure I have.
I like that you're looking frantically for the calendar.
August 27th.
All right.
Too late to hit September 1st.
Yeah. So I guess how do we want to approach that, team?
But if we voted on it on the August meeting and then put it up like the second week of August, September,
I mean, and the other thing is Diana said she could share them by email too. So it wouldn't be a surprise necessarily, right, Diane?
Yeah, I think we could even vote by email.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we don't vote here though, do we?
No, we don't.
No. But we could give a thumbs up. However,
That we can't do.
Vote by email.
So I remember, I know we've had this conversation a few different times, and it has come up because the subcommittee was created so that we didn't have to do votes. But I do think it came up last meeting. Jessica mentioned that we should have eyes on them before they're before they go to print for accessibility issues, anything glaring, not necessarily design elements, so that we can all, kind of rubber stamp it. And Chris Workman recommended he could send out the final file, and if any of us saw something that we didn't like, we could let him know and he could communicate it that way, which I think would take out all of that kind of time-consuming piece of this. So we all kind of get what we want from it. We get to see it before it gets printed, but the subcommittee isn't really beholden to the time constraints of meeting once a month, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're giving me a look.
So what are you suggesting?
So that
They
so
do
that when
their
the
work.
when they have a design that they're ready to move forward with, they send it to Chris. Chris sends it to us via email. And if we see anything in it individually that doesn't look correct, then we can give feedback. And if we don't, then we just move forward with it. So we all kind of look at it on our own,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I think is what we kind of talked about
Mm-hmm.
last time.
And and then would we put a due date on when to get any kind of feedback?
Yeah, I would say
Just like a normal email then would go. You
Yeah.
would say that.
no.
No, but just
For any
Input.
yep, any constructive feedback and
by a certain date.
Jessica?
That sounds great. And then if for some reason, like I highly doubt it, but if for some reason there is any sort of substantial, like, conflicting suggestions or concerns or whatever, then we could always still talk about that one thing at the meeting if need be, especially considering that it's September 15th to October 15th for that month in particular. But I don't see the need for it. It was just a, if all else fails.
Cool.
Awesome. I like it.
Look at us making decisions and getting stuff done.
Woohoo.
Okay. I guess, Amanda, I don't mean to step on your toes. I was just the
Go ahead.
the age-friendly community proclamation included in the packet, I believe textually is exactly the same as the one we looked at the last meeting. Jane, correct me if I'm wrong, if you changed any of the wording in there. I didn't. It's just put in official city resolution format.
Correct, with the exception of the first whereas was just
Right.
Yeah.
So this is mostly just like a final sign off. This is what would be going to the council in August. So speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I must have missed the meeting because I didn't see this, but I think that having statistics on the first whereas is, I think we're gonna lose people. I think that it would be helpful. No, you don't think that? You're chuckling.
Oh no, I was laughing because that's true. That people will fall asleep.
Yeah, I think it would be more helpful if we put like some of the wording at the bottom that says Philomath Oregon will work to promote the citizen, that last thing that says therefore be it resolved. I think if we move that to the top, because that's actually what we want to make the resolution, the proclamation about, and then either just eliminated those statistics by saying something like Philomath Oregon has a varied age of, various ages of communities. I don't think we need to personally list out all of I think that's just a lot of information. So I apologize if this was the final draft and I didn't see it before. So.
And do we need to have this final piece in, or we can revise it again?
We would probably need to finish it tonight if we want it to happen in August.
Okay.
Because we won't meet again until the end of August after both city council meetings have happened. I'm wondering if we could just add a whereas above that one that just says something like, whereas the city of Philomath desires to create livable communities where residents of all ages can thrive. Just sort of a very broad statement like that.
Agree.
Good with
might
that.
tie in the name of the resolution to that first sentence as well.
Right.
So very similar to your sentence, but City of Philomath desires to have and or create an age-friendly community that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So whereas the city of Philomath desires to create an age-friendly community that allows, I don't want to say residents of all ages, I don't know, allows residents in all phases of life to thrive. I don't know if that's a good phraseology there, but
Regardless of age.
yeah, I don't like using the word age right next to the other word age, but that might just be me.
What about just that last paragraph, just moving it more, because isn't that what we want to do?
Well,
Philomath will work to promote the health, safety, and sustain economic growth of our citizens.
yeah, it just then because that's what we're resolving to do, that's supposed to be at the end. And like the whereas are supposed to be like why we want to do that kind of.
Yeah, I mean, just adding some of that language.
Sure, yeah, right.
And then might eliminate saying age a couple of different times.
Yeah.
That.
Okay, well, how about I work on this a little bit more? The statistics there was suggested by the AARP person that I was sharing the information with. But let me work on this again, and then.
Well, if we want it to be passed by the council in August, we have to.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's just when it's the first thing that
Right.
you're not sure what we're talking about. So I think that sentence is great. I think Christopher's on the right track here of just adding a whereas clause in front of that to kind of introduce us to what we're talking about.
Okay.
Like, whereas the city of Philomath desires to create age-friendly communities that allow all residents.
You just stop at age-friendly
Access.
communities?
We could. That just feels a little anemic.
Access.
Can you say all age? All age? Friendly? All ages? No?
I think that adding accessibility to that is really important. I just want to make a note that Councilor Packer stands up also.
The accessibility to what?
The accessibility issue for all ages.
Yeah, just that like when you plan for an age-friendly community, you're really planning for an accessible community to all people, not like regardless of age, regardless of any sort of disability, etc.
Whereas the city of Philomath desires to create an age-friendly community that is safe, healthy, and prosperous for all residents.
Good.
And accessible, if we want to include that in there.
I think that's important.
Healthy and accessible.
Accessible and prosperous for all.
Are we gonna back that up at all by offering accessibility help? Or are we just saying that?
Well, I think the point of the resolution is saying that we're participating in the age-friendly communities network. And
Okay.
part of participating in the network includes accessibility improvements.
Okay.
Unchanging desire to commit sounds more solid, like we're actually going to do that instead of just we're thinking about it.
That's what we were doing before.
Yep.
This is like
okay.
this is the
Yeah.
aspirational, and this is what we're resolving to do. So the
Yeah.
committee should be here, which is we'll work to. So where you're saying, Fulham will work to promote the health, safety, blah, blah, blah. So that's where we're getting to. This is all kind of the aspirational background on why we're all doing it. I think desires works in this first half, but you're right, the second half we need to commit to do it.
That makes sense.
Work to do it. Second, we'll commit
To promote the health and safety and
to work to
sustainability.
promote, but that may be too much to. Commit to work to promote.
We'll commit to promote.
Wouldn't it need to be commit to promoting
The health, safety, yeah.
and participating?
Yes.
I like commit to promoting.
Yeah, so
It's active.
right, the Oregon will commit to promoting the health, safety, and sustained economic growth of our citizens, and will participate and support the age-friendly communities. I'm assuming we should say participate in and support the age-friendly communities network.
Should you participate in on the therefore?
Diane, I think you just got a butt in there.
Yeah, well, it's not about this, so
Okay.
this is concluded.
Or do you mean will participate and support? In, or what did you and
To be honest with you, I don't remember. I haven't. Said this meeting.
how many times have you read it?
Lately, none.
If we say participate in and support the age-friendly communities network, I think we're gonna need a little more information for the city council, because at this point, they don't know
Right.
anything about what the age-friendly communities network is. And if they're gonna resolve to participate in it, they're gonna just need some background, which is still very doable. I think that's gonna, this is gonna
And
be
this is
somebody
still,
with a.
we were kind of coming up with the proclamation, sort of like the horse, the cart before the horse, so to speak, because we were, you know, the step would be to have, the mayor writing a letter requesting.
Are you saying the city council might want a report about age?
Well, not necessarily a report, but it's not uncommon for a resolution to be accompanied with an agenda item summary sheet. And so that could be prepared by one of the city council members that would just give a summary of the effort, a little bit about the age-friendly community network, and the process we're trying to follow of getting a resolution and letter of support from the mayor, and just kind of line that out a little bit. And then it would be very easy to understand why then we're going right to a resolution.
Okay.
They have a little bit of background. They don't need all the background. They need
Right.
a little bit of background. And I
Okay.
think we can do that with like a one-page agenda item summary.
Okay, that sounds good.
You could task one of your city council members for help.
Oh, thumbs up from Chris, there you go.
Now you're chuckling.
I was hiding.
Your hand's still up though, Diane.
It is, because I wanted to talk about this.
You volunteering to do the,
No, no.
that's what I'm
That's-
saying.
Well, I guess then before we go to the calendar, are we good then on the resolution? So we'll add the whereas at the beginning, sort of stating our desire, and then we'll switch will work to promote to be will commit to promoting, and then we'll say we'll participate in and support the age-friendly communities network. Does that work for everyone?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Then please, Diane, take us away.
Okay, my question is, under October on the Inclusivity Committee calendar, it says proclamation and banner Diane. And this is the first I've seen this. I've never written a proclamation. I don't know how to do that. So either
I think that
training or somebody else can do it or something, but
We already have a proclamation from last year.
Yeah.
yes, I think that may have been my fault in writing the Diane. I think was supposed to go just with banner, not with
Perfect,
proclamation.
perfect.
So sorry for the confusion.
not a problem. I just wanted to ask. And so that's,
Yeah.
I would not be a good person to rewrite. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's yeah. So then in August, we'll probably have the Indigenous Peoples Day resolution from last year just for people to review, if there's any updates. But I think usually we just kind of re-up it, as long as there's no concerns. So, that'll be on next month's agenda. I guess the other piece on the calendar is if anyone wants to take on, we have either one of two social media posts coming up, one for National Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month, and then one for National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So if anyone feels very passionate or has free time and would like to do either of those two, let us know.
When is the disability month?
That's October.
October, okay. So what does this include? Just writing up what it is? That we-
Yeah, just a quick social
Under-
media post about, that Philomath is recognizing this month because of, blah, blah, blah. Just
And
the,
right,
yeah.
if I typed it up, I would send it to Ruth and she would make magic and put it out.
Yeah, I mean, we'd put it in the packet just like everything else. So send it to Ruth or Chris or me, and then,
Three, okay.
yeah.
I will do the disability month.
Okay. Anyone? Jessica?
Yeah, I can do National Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month,
Okay. Awesome.
unless anyone else really wanted to.
I'm not seeing any little hands down there.
Diane, we need to take your hand down.
I'm taking it off, thank you.
Volunteering for every.
Yeah.
Looking forward a little bit, we do have an event planned or on the calendar for Veterans Day.
Yes.
Talked about that at all? Because one thing I would want to propose, if we don't have any plans, would be in collaboration with the Park Advisory Board of something at Cochrane Park, because the marble should be finished by then, right?
Yeah,
I would
that's
love
what
that.
I've penciled in is to have that done. That's my goal, is to have everything done and ready to go for a groundbreaking for a Veterans Day event at Cochrane Park. So
And I'm on the park board, so I'd be willing to propose that at our next meeting in August.
there's a few different medals for Vietnam era veterans and also Vietnam era veterans spouses. And they do a pretty big program. They've got some Scottish descent, so they do the bagpipe and the whole bit, and they put on a pretty elaborate celebration / ceremony. And so we've talked about maybe partnering that, because Paul Cochrane was a Vietnam veteran era. And so we've talked about doing that, which would include some additional outreach to Vietnam era veterans in our region that we could specially invite to. Very preliminary. There's, a lot of it just depends on when the park's going to be done, because I don't want to plan a big, huge thing and the park's not done yet. So, but kind of penciling that in with everything and working with this group and working with the park board on what that could look like.
Yeah. Put this down.
This would be the size event that we could invite our, obviously, city council, planning commissioners, and even our senators, representatives statewide. It'll be a pretty cool event.
Take just a moment to tell me where this park will or is.
It's on 16th and College. Yep, just one block north of the highway on 16th Street. And the park's complete, Paul Cochrane Veterans Memorial Park. It's complete other than the 3 large granite slabs that are gonna be on top of the concrete blocks that are there now, that have the, in memory of community veterans, et cetera, et cetera. So those had to be ordered from out of the country. So we're waiting on the tides to roll it in. And
Yeah, it gets there's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
It's popular.
Yeah.
it's very
Right
popular.
around the corner from there. Yeah.
I know that others aren't in the room, but can we welcome our guests that came in kind of middle of that last discussion?
Meeting, or is this a work session, or?
This is the Inclusivity Committee meeting, so it's a subcommittee of the city council.
I thought it was the city council meeting.
We had city council meeting we had last night, last night at 6, but tonight's Inclusivity Committee, so you're welcome to stay, but
I don't need to be inclusive.
just wanted to acknowledge you.
I came to the wrong effort.
All right, not a
That's
problem.
fine.
Thanks for coming.
Got me $1.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the calendar or anything else coming up?
I just
Oh,
want to say again, this is a great invention, so good.
Yep.
Good on the calendar. I think it's
Yep.
nice to have everything just right at our fingertips, so.
Know what's coming.
Yeah.
Chris, are you about to talk about the farmer's market?
I was, yes. Let me pull up that spreadsheet. Oh, wow. There we go. I pulled up the spreadsheet and it pulled up something from 2023. Here we go. So we are signed up to have a booth at the farmer's market on August 18th. So we have that planned out and we will use the city, canopy and everything, all the good stuff. But we just need some folks to be there. I'm planning to be there. And I think Jessica, were you planning to be there? Okay. So, then if a couple other people want to be there, as long as we don't have a quorum, we should be okay.
Representing for the Inclusivity Committee.
Just
Yes.
sharing information, even though
Wait, I didn't catch that.
I just wondered if there was a special reason that we were going that month, that time.
Oh, no, it just was what we signed up for at the last meeting, I think. There's other dates available if people want to do other dates as well, but
No.
okay.
No. To volunteer for something, it's helpful to know if you're talking about something specific at
Oh.
something. So I just wondered if there was something specific, if you go to volunteer, that you need to know to talk about. So that was it was
Yeah, no,
badly
we were,
phrased, apparently.
yeah, I think we were just there to sort of talk about the Inclusivity Committee at large and sort of what we do and if folks want to get involved or if they have feedback, with the understanding that the canopy will be under just says what's up Philomath and is also at the farmers market on other dates with general city business. So we will probably get people coming up who don't want to talk about the Inclusivity Committee and want to talk about water or streets or parks too. So
You should offer your opinion on those things too.
So just we will be there, to discuss the Inclusivity Committee, but that's a one-way street in terms of how much we can control the narrative. So I guess, is there anyone right now that wants to just put your name in the hat for that? Rose, okay, and then Kate. Is that the two? Okay.
I'm gonna be out of town that
Yeah,
day.
no worries.
What are the times?
It's 11 to 3, I think. But we usually try to get there, like 10:45 or something just to get everything set up. And if you can only be there for half of it or whatever, that's fine. We're happy to have people for however long they can be there.
Do shifts.
Yeah.
I could do a couple of hours.
Okay. Here, let me make sure I'm writing all this down.
And if we do shifts, then we're further getting away from potential quorum.
I guess. I don't. That's an interesting public meetings law case right there. So okay, so me, Jessica, Rose, Kate, and then Nora for maybe a couple hours or so. Okay. Well, I'll plan on those folks, but I'll send out an email, beforehand in case anyone else wants to be there for an hour or something, and we can coordinate that. But and yeah, if too many people show up, some of us will leave. But
Or you could take a break.
exactly, you can go have some pizza, buy some tomatoes, go to the library. Well, I guess the library's not open. Go to the bathroom in the library. Anyway, enough of that. And then Chris, I'll just work with you to make sure we have anything printed out that we need to have printed out before then. Perfect. Any other thoughts on the calendar?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. Then moving on for outreach. The only outreach I received in the last month related to this committee is attached in the packet. It was an email from a community member. And I told this community member that I would share it with the committee per their request. It's about the Philomath Frolic and Rodeo Parade, which is not a city event. So there's limited jurisdiction that we have over that parade, but you can read through the email there. Their concerns had to do with sort of the placement of the thin blue line flag with the American flag and then no other flags in the frolic and rodeo like section of the parade with the horses. So I responded to this resident and just kind of, heard the concerns. I also offered a little more context just about the personal connection from this year's Frolic and Rodeo queen and her father, who was a law enforcement officer, I think, who died. Chris, am I getting that right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just, I think for folks who went to the rodeo, it made a little more sense. But that context was not there in the parade. So,
Because
I think,
I agree. Yeah, I didn't know. I noticed that too, and I did go to the rodeo, and I didn't know that was a thing either. So, it would have more context would have been helpful. But
yeah,
I mean, it's a private thing, so
right.
I did also notice that. I agree with what that person had said.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, it's not something that the city has jurisdiction over, but I'm happy to kind of pass the email along to the Frolic. I think there were some decent, recommendations in there of just if we're going to have the thin blue line flag, why not have other emergency services flags in there as well? Or why not have like the Oregon flag? So I think those are, valid questions, but they're not questions that we can necessarily answer. I just promised this constituent that I would bring it to you all. So I guess if there are any thoughts, now's the time. But with the understanding that it's not, we can't change it right here tonight. Jane?
There is a flag that shows the line for each service that
Right. And I think
shows
that,
all of them, which is kind of interesting.
yeah, and I think that may be part of what they were recommending in their email. They said there the one solution maybe to have the riders representing the Philomath Frolic and Rodeo organization to display all the flags that represent everyone in our community, police flag, firefighter flag, state of Oregon flag, progress flag, et cetera, et cetera. So I think they had thrown that out there, but and this resident did also, once I got back to them, they're like, oh yeah, I can reach out to the Frolic, I guess. So I'll just let them know that we discussed it and that, any actual action would probably need to be not us, but I just wanted to pass that along, I guess, unless if people have any other strong feedback on that.
Does the committee feel it's appropriate to reach out to the Frolic as a committee and emphasize, because I agree with this email writer as well, about the appropriateness of the flag?
No.
I definitely agree with the email. I think that they kind of hit the point. Like, before I'd read the email and I heard that it existed, I was kind of like, I know the history of the flag and what it has become, but I also know that there was a Pride Ally flag in the parade as well. And so if we, like, I don't want to tell a group that they can't fly a flag and then have them be like, well, the mayor can't have a pride flag on his float. Like, it feels very, like, I don't know
Judgmental.
if that's, I don't know if that's necessarily the conversation, but like this, once I read the email, that explaining that, like, how it fits together, like, by itself, this means this thing, and you're excluding people. But if you have this flag that you're showing for whatever reason, but it is alongside a pride flag or a progress flag or other inclusionary flags, it becomes a different story, I think. So if we presented that with the email to the frolic, but I don't know if I would, like, I don't know if we should tell them they can or can't fly certain
And that
flags.
wasn't what I was intending.
Yeah.
It wasn't a, you should not do this. I think this might be an educational opportunity
Yeah,
for people
absolutely.
to understand what that flag has become.
Yeah.
And maybe they just don't know. So I'm leaning into inquiry.
But is the person gonna talk to them?
I'll ask. They offered sort of like, I don't know, offered the right, they responded saying like, oh, I could just, would it be better if I reach out to the frolic? So I think maybe Rose, for now, it might be best if I just follow up with the person, and do some sort of feeling out, not as a committee. And that just because I don't want to make this into something more than it has to be. And
Sure,
then,
but a citizen reached out to the Inclusivity Committee. Like, we got reached out to directly. They didn't reach out to the frolic.
And the key piece of that is because of the statement that they make around the city of Philomath. Some might argue that the Philomath Frolic and Rodeo is a private organization, which it is, distinct and separate from the city of Philomath, which it is. My 27 years of residency in Philomath have shown me that the two are closely intertwined. So we go to that piece and say, is that true? If the city of Philomath and Philomath Frolic and Rodeo are truly intertwined to that state, then does the city of Philomath need to reach out to the Philomath Frolic and Rodeo and say, hey guys, you may be private, but you are a representation of our city. And that's really the key in that piece of whether or not the committee would reach out.
I would also add, I just kind of thinking about it, and like, I do think that something like this coming from a committee that is, our whole purpose is to do this work, like, us bringing it to the frolic probably has more weight than necessarily a individual who wrote an email. So I do think that if we're like, we decide we want to talk to the frolic, it should come from the committee, or at least Chris representing the committee, just not like, but yeah, not having the person do that lifting.
sure. Diane?
I don't think that we want to make more of this than we need to. I am sure that they did not realize that it would offend anyone. And I think just this person letting them know, or some person letting them know, is all we need to do. If we come at them as a committee, I feel like that's much more combative and not putting them in a good situation.
Maybe proposal. I, as chair of this committee, can talk to Ruth Kazi, who is the city council liaison to the Frolic and Rodeo. And then we can reach out sort of with a summary of this discussion as well as the concern. And get back to y'all. Does that work?
Would you want me to provide you with some historical context to also give to Ruth Causey about the flag,
You,
that flag in particular?
if you feel free to send me whatever you'd like, yeah. But
Can we also just put in perspective that it's a little girl who lost her dad that was the one carrying
right,
the flag?
Yep.
That's not gonna be queen again? I mean.
right. That's, I don't
Just
want to,
keeping that in perspective as well.
yes.
You know, that it's not an attack, probably it's just something emotional for her. So just to keep that in perspective as well.
Yeah.
She's probably 16 or 17 or I don't know how, do you know how old the queen was this year?
She's 17.
Yeah, that's a little girl.
I wish the Frolic did a better job of sharing that with the community to provide some context.
Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe they did in her bio. I didn't look at her bio. So anyway, I agree with Diane. I feel like the less combative we are, and just keep in mind, it's a little girl who lost her dad, and that's probably why she was carrying that flag. So.
Yeah, I won't speak on behalf of the Frolic Rodeo. I volunteer with the Frolic. I'm on the board. I'm actually the Frolic Events Committee Chair, so I oversee the parade. We have a parade coordinator that does all the hard work, but I oversee that committee. And I can tell you from my perspective, it's a First Amendment right, and people want to fly flags, they can fly flags, and the Frolic and Rodeo is not going to censor what flags are being flown in the parade, and whether that be
flag would be flown?
a pride flag, a Nazi flag. If you want to fly a flag, it's your First Amendment right to fly a flag in a parade, and the Frolic and Rodeo is not going to take a stance on which flags can and can't be flown, any more than we would do any other type of infringement on a person's First Amendment rights. So that's going to be my stance from the Frolic standpoint until I'm told anything different from my Frolic board. But to me, it's a First Amendment right. And sometimes we get offended by what people say and what people do because it's offensive and it's ugly, but it's their First Amendment right to do so. So I'm not going to infringe on somebody else's First Amendment right because I don't want somebody to infringe on mine. As much as I might disagree with somebody's opinion, I will fight for their ability to express that opinion every single day. So
I think for me, it's less about saying, no, you shouldn't do this, and more about, hey, do you know the history, recent history related to that flag? Yes, it started as supporting our police force, but then has since turned into a white supremacy symbol. I think if we're a committee that's looking to bring inclusion and enhancement of diversity in Philomath, this is an educational opportunity, less so than a finger wag, you shouldn't do this.
yeah, I just don't agree with that. I think a flag's meaning is interpreted by whoever's looking at it, and so if it means white supremacy to you, then that's what it means, and you need to, in my opinion, that person needs to step back and understand where that other person may be coming from. Because a 17-year-old girl waving a flag with a blue line on it, maybe they're white supremacists, and again, they should be allowed to express that opinion if they are. But the reality is, in a Frolic and Rodeo parade with a 17-year-old flying flag, that's more than likely not that. And I think that people have the opinion to express their First Amendment right to express themselves. So I just don't see it. Again, it's tough because I've been offended by things as well, right? I've seen things and they are very offensive, and I have to go on with my day. And I don't think it's appropriate for me or anybody else to go and try to educate that person. I educate myself. I know what I need for myself, and I go through my life.
I wasn't saying like educate that the girl who was holding the flag. I'm talking about educating the committee or however the system works within the Frolic.
Yeah, it's not going to be the Frolic and Rose's responsibility to educate anybody either, right? So I don't know. I think it's more than appropriate to pass on the email or to have that individual pass on the email to the Frolic, but I don't think it's appropriate for the Inclusivity Committee to be educating the Frolic and Rodeo on what a flag may or may not mean to an individual.
I also just want to note Jessica has her hand up.
Thank you. I am just going to say that I don't think anyone has said that anyone wants the committee to say whether or not the Frolic can allow people to fly certain flags. I think the main concern here is recognizing that certain flags have certain histories, and some of those histories have been changed, and, excuse me, they've been co-opted from their original meaning, and making note of that to the frolic in case they want to make a policy, in case they want to be more proactive about including other inclusionary flags, if they want to make an effort to that. I think it is very much within the Inclusivity Committee's right to be able to I don't know if educate is the right word, but to inform them that sometimes it can be harmful flag. Certain flags can be unwelcoming to certain groups of people, and just letting them know that. Honestly, I don't think it's a big deal to let them know that it can be that, especially if we're coming at it from like Rose said, a place of inquiry, and just like, hey, listen, I know this wasn't your intent, and also I wanted to let you know, I think that clarifying, it's important to come at things from a place of inquiry, because there are plenty of misunderstandings that happen in day-to-day life, and I think for something as sensitive as this, it's even in our goals of we in our I don't even remember what it's called, but basically we do want to educate people. We have said that we want to call people in to let them know, have honest and difficult conversations. If they choose not to do anything with the information that we give them, okay, but I think we owe it to ourselves, our committee, to to try to show another perspective, and fully state up front, like I said, we know this wasn't your intent. We know that your intent had to do with this context, and also nothing is just cut and dry, black and white. There's plenty of nuance to it, and there's a way to go about having a conversation, or even just, here's some information in case you didn't know. Food for thought.
I think just for the sake of time, since we're nearing the end of our allotted meeting hour and change, I hear the discussion, and I'm happy to be the messenger as the council co-chair, and then get back to this resident and find the path forward. I also want to make sure that I'm communicating with this resident regardless, since they did also offer to just go to the frolic themselves. I don't want to preempt that. So I think that's probably what makes the most sense to me, is I'll just get back in touch with them and let them know about this discussion, and then we can kind of go from there with what they would prefer would be best. And I'm happy to be the messenger, and hopefully this is not one of those scenarios where they kill the messenger. But is that okay with everyone, just since I think we need to.
It's for me.
Perfect. Then that is our last planned agenda item for today. One note we wanted to make is that our esteemed co-chair Amanda has now co-chaired 3 meetings. So, or you will have co-chaired 3 meetings at the next one. Sorry. She has co-chaired 2 and will have done 3 at the next one, which means that at the next one, we will probably need to select a council or a community co-chair. And you know, if Amanda wants to keep doing it, I don't think there's any rules against that. But if someone else would like to do it, there's no rules against that either. So just put a little worm in your ear there to remember that and think about that if that's something you want to do moving forward. Any other agenda item requests for next month besides all the things we've already talked about the calendar and the review of materials and everything?
I do just want to share that Strengthening Urban Families is having our fundraiser this Friday at Lumos from 5 to 8 p.m. Be there, be square, be fun. Nope, free to go. I mean, everything costs money.
Right.
There, but unless you bring your own stuff. But
And
there's music by Mule on Fire, which is free, and then we're gonna have it's a fundraiser for us. We're gonna have silent auction stuff. Yes, Christopher.
oh, well, and now breaking news: there will also be food there, thanks to the county changing their food trucks on winery rules. So we originally advertised it as bring your own food, which you're, I suppose, still welcome to do if you're just a party pooper. But if you want to buy the food there, then you're also welcome to do that. So, yes.
What's the date against there?
July 26th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Lumos.
Anything else for the good of the order?
There's kitten yoga at the Corvallis Museum tomorrow night, but they're doing it on the second to the last Wednesday of every month. Kittens are from Heartland, so if you want to do some yoga, Rachel's teaching it. If you want to do some yoga, I heard in October they're going to be having black and orange kittens for everyone.
That's awesome. Rachel's amazing.
In partnership with our Benton County Historical Society friends.
It's like ulterior motives.
Perfect. Thank you for leaving us on a positive note there, Rose. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you all for coming out tonight, and we will see you next month. So have a wonderful summer.
Bye.
Hi. Thank you.